And we're on.
Yeah, welcome back to the Talking Trash with Dom and Jarran, and this week's podcast guest, which is Jordan Tyler Lea from the MOTUS Projects. I met Jordan, I think, 3 years ago, and the first time I met him, I was like, how does nobody know who this guy is? His level is so high, and he's like such a genuine, cool dude. He should be like way more acclaimed in the scene. And then about a year ago, he was picked up by MOTUS, maybe a little bit more now, almost 2 years. Was picked up by MOTUS Projects as one of their main athletes, and since then has been creating content more renownedly for the channel and doing bits and pieces. And yeah, welcome to the show, man. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, thank you very much. I don't know how to follow up that. That was very kind words.
It's just good, man. It was just the first thing that stood out to me when we trained together. I was like, holy shit, like this guy's level is just so high. Like your technical base and your technical set of skills just is really, really proficient. It's sick to see.
Yeah, I've always tried. I think that comes from the gymnastics background as well. Like everything's always had to be perfect. So I've just always, when training, it's like, I don't want anything sloppy. I like it to be nice and clean and tidy. So,
I wish I had that discipline, man. It's definitely not.
That's not your style at all.
Done.
No, sometimes I wish I could do that as well, though, because sometimes I think about things like way too much. So yeah.
So I'm just going to quickly say, also we've got Jarran here who makes the music for the YouTube channel. So he's basically the composer with all the songs behind the scene. He has also done some jobs, so I'm sure he'll have some questions for you. But my main one just now is I did not know you did gymnastics. How long did you do gymnastics for?
Oh yeah, I did acrobatic gymnastics for, I think it was around 5 years. It was when I started secondary school, which was when I was like 12.
Okay.
And then basically my gymnastics coach was a PE teacher at the school, and he saw me on a trampoline, and he was just like, whoa, like, have you done anything before? And I was like, no, I just always loved chucking myself around as a kid.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of started, he just picked me up and was like, oh, do you want to come in for like a trial? And then I went in and then, did acrobatic gymnastics for like 5 years of my life. It was great. I loved it. Very intense, but yeah, I loved it.
That's super legit. So what's the difference between acrobatic gymnastics and then gymnastics? Like, because I did gymnastics, so
yeah.
I don't know.
So Acro's just like, so there's different like partnerships. So I was in a men's pair, which is basically like, I've got this really big guy and I'm like the top, and he used to chuck me up and I used to do multiple different flips, like stuff like handstand on head and stuff like that. So it's not your usual like parallel bars or high bar or something like
right.
that.
So this is coming more from the circus world as opposed to just strict gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because like, I mean, everything's so focused on form with those sorts of things because it's the aesthetic as well. Yeah, and that now I can see that very much in your style with like, the excessive pointed toes and beautiful pike position.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've kind of started to sway away from it now. I mean, having trained for like 5-6 years almost, I think. And I've definitely developed my style like so much over this past year as well. Having like such a big influence from Keelan and stuff in the team, like
for sure, the style definitely looks more street now in a way. You've got that kind of like funky, all the off-axis stuff going and stuff like that. Which is super
I was just watching Broccoli 2020, and Keelan is just all over the joint. It's just falling into things basically.
So
I mean, I love that. Have you experienced like a kind of big injury or a setback like that where you've had to restructure your training or reset kind of the way that you're attacking things?
Nah, not in parkour. I absolutely exploded my elbow doing gymnastics. The guy was like pitching me up from the floor, so he chucked me, and I was meant to do like a single backflip to catch in hands, and he like whipped me a bit too much, so I over rotated and coming down from like, I don't know, like maybe 3 meters high or something like that, and my arm was behind me and it just straight out. So that was a really severe injury, but that was gymnastics, and that put me out for like a year. Well, not put me out for a year, but I had to get like surgery. I got a plate in, and then I was only doing like one-handed stuff, and then that's when my like gymnastics career started coming to an end, and then I started like transitioning over to parkour. So yeah.
Interesting. Had you found parkour before that, and it was like you did both, or you dabbled in parkour but was mainly doing gymnastics, or was it like once you stopped gym you started parkour?
No, there was definitely like a transition period where I was kind of doing both, because the gymnastics center I like trained at, basically they started hosting free gym sessions, which was basically like a free running session, because I don't know back then what this was like, maybe when I was like 15 or around 15, 14, and kind of parkour free running was starting to get, I mean, it was a thing before then, but I think people just started to hear about it a bit more.
Yeah, it become wider known in like
yeah. And then my gymnastics center picked up on that and was like, oh, let's host like a free running session for like people that don't want to come and, you know, point their toes and straighten their legs and get whipped and stuff like that. But yeah, so when I got injured, and then I heard about this session, and I know a lot of my friends from school started going because they were like, oh, parkour free running, that's so cool. And then they came along, and it was just like chucking yourself, doing huge double kongs and like dive kongs and stuff on just soft stuff and just chucking whatever. But I really enjoyed it because it gave me a lot of freedom compared to like, I mean, I don't discredit gymnastics at all. Like, it gave me so much discipline, but just having the freedom of being able to just, you know, have a bit of fun and not worry about, all that other stuff. It was just, I think that's what made me transition over to parkour.
That's crazy, because like for me that's a huge parallel with what it was like for me with ice skating. So I was doing ice skating for like 15 years until I was 18, but I discovered parkour at 15, and so for that last like 3 years it was like transitioning over, and I was like every other sport or dancing and everything else, we just faded away to the side, and it was like parkour, ice skating, and then my partner, I dropped her and she broke her leg, and that was like the end of I was like, I'm not skating anymore. This is, that was way too traumatic. I don't want to be responsible for like breaking people's bones. And then, it just became like full-time parkour from there. But that's cool that you have like a kind of, as you said, disciplined background in sport. But then the thing that drew you was like, I don't have someone forcing me down in the splits. I don't have someone like saying I have to show up at this time and this time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what was 2020 like for you with, because as you said, just before we got on the air, you're like, you're in heavy lockdown right now. Was that like often a common occurrence, or was that like, you know, far and few between?
Well, it's a bit strange because Norway has been a bit weird, because obviously I've been here since, I mean, I moved to Norway in 2018, and then lockdown hit Corona hit around February, and we just got back from shooting Soul Destroyer. And I fly back to Norway, and then I start working again, just like in my restaurant. And then like suddenly I'm just like not working, everything's closed down. But Norway never really went into like a full lockdown like Britain did. So things closed, but we were allowed to go out and just like, you know, like mingle with people and just have a good time and stuff like that. So 2020 for me has actually been sick. It's been so
more socializing and being outdoors.
But like, I feel like we're hitting the back end of it now, because Norway's never been in a really terrible position, but basically the new British strain has like affected like a community just maybe 30 minutes out of Oslo. So basically like, they've just went, right, no, let's stop now. So basically we're just not meant to do anything, which means the gyms are closed, and usually winter is big time gym training for me because it's snowing and stuff. Like, I mean, I could go out and mess around in the snow, but it's not really like actual kind of training, if you get me.
I do.
Yeah. So are you actually in Norway at the moment?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I had the most stressful time over Christmas. But basically, I went home for Christmas despite everything going on. But I hadn't seen my family in like over a year.
So like, this is happening.
Yeah, exactly. But I hadn't seen my family in over a year, and things seem to have calmed down like a little bit. So I flew to the UK, started having like a nice Christmas, and then like borders closed. It locked down, and the main stress was with Brexit happening. because with me living over here, I didn't know how Brexit was going to affect that, and if I still have like my rights in Norway and stuff like that. But I've managed to sort everything, and everything's all good. But Jesus Christ, like I got like I think 3 flights cancelled, and I was just trying to get back, and it was just such a nightmare. But yeah, I'm back now. I'm in Norway.
That's good. That's good. And so there's heaps of like outdoor parkour parks in Norway as well. Are those like accessible during lockdown periods like this? Would you normally be able to go out and hit those, or if it was not snowing?
Yeah, I mean they haven't really said anything about that. I think you could still do that. You just wouldn't be able to go with friends. Like if you got caught in like a big kind of training group, like that wouldn't be allowed, basically.
Okay, yeah. So like 5+ kind of thing would be a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was the thing that blew me away about Norway when I went to Oslo. It was like we were walking down the street to go to a spot, and there was a parkour park on the way, and I'm like, what is this? Like, how's this happening?
There's like 12 in just Oslo, like central from me. Like I could walk 15 minutes from my apartment in any direction and like be at a parkour park. It's so sick.
It's so gnarly. Yeah, we don't have that many in Sydney. Like we got maybe 4 or 5, but all of them are at least a 45-minute drive from where I am.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
No.
And it's like there's so many more spots close by that aren't built for parkour. The only thing is you get kicked off, and that's then annoying because you're like, I just want to train.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there's been a lot more nowadays built in Sydney, haven't there?
I mean, it's still like less. It's still only a handful, and they're all still like they're getting there. But I think I need to do something about it. I don't know how they did it in Oslo, but basically I just need to go to like a council and be like, put them in.
Yeah,
I'm Domtomato.
Do it. I have zero idea about like the parks in Norway, but I think it's just like I don't know what the statistics are, but like Norway's a very active country, and like I don't know, they're very much up for like letting people have their freedom and have fun and stuff, and the health and safety isn't that like intense, not like the UK. So yeah, I mean one of the parks I train at literally has like I think it's like a 3.5 meter high bar, like, and you're just hanging like above like such a big drop, and it's like that would not be allowed in the UK at all.
Definitely not in Australia either. We have like OH&S issues. Like there's pretty much the same. You're saying you work in a restaurant. What's like? Are you a chef by trade?
No, just a waiter. So when I first moved to Norway, I was coaching, and that kind of gave me the opportunity to move over here. So I was coaching parkour, and then just for like extra money because it is expensive over here. However, you get paid so much, so it like balances out. Yeah, I found a restaurant job, and then I kind of started fading away from coaching and like working more full time as a waiter in the restaurant. Mainly because it paid so much. The hours were great, and it's a really like small private business, so I have like a lot of say in when I work and like travel and stuff. So it was kind of like the perfect opportunity. So I was working and I was able to train still like so much. But I mean, I haven't worked since we closed in February when everything kicked off. Obviously, we were closed for the summer, so I just had like a glorious summer, still getting paid and just like having a good time.
Wow! So was that the government that was still kind of paying everybody's bills and stuff like that?
Yeah, Norway sorted everybody out. Like we literally got compensation for being laid off. Like, so yeah, we just got so much, and then I've just been getting paid from the government because I haven't been fired. Like the restaurant hasn't closed, but it's just closed for the period until we can either reopen or then they go bankrupt. So maybe I might be out of a job, I might not be. I don't really know. But for now, I'm still getting paid from the government. So yeah.
No, it's nice when you find like a place like that where the boss can kind of have that familiarity where you can, as you said, travel and get that opportunity. I think a lot of the younger freerunners get caught in the fact that they have to get like, a 9-to-5 full-time job, work for the big man. And that doesn't give you that freedom. That doesn't give you that kind of, as you said, like say in what you can do and that sort of thing. That's really nice. So what was the initial motivation to move to Norway? Just the coaching, or was it more kind of like just personal?
I think it was just personal. Like I've always like, obviously I've loved traveling around, training, just having fun with friends. And I first came to Norway. I can't remember when it was. I think I was like 18. I'm 22 now. So I came with a friend because my friend had a friend who moved to Norway from York, and he needed like help shooting this like just this like project he was working on, and nothing too serious, but just like a friend thing. And my friend Elias like knows I love to travel, so he was like, "Oh, do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then like that week, I think this was like 2 days before he was actually leaving, so I just booked my flights, came, and just had like a great time, just such a great trip. And then that was only for the weekend though. And then like I left, and half a year later, I got a message from the guy who we stayed at, and he was like, "Yo, I'm coaching at this school for 2 weeks in like the Norwegian countryside, and I can't get anybody. Would you be down?" And I was like, "Yeah." So like, of course. So I basically flew out to Norway, got picked up. Like I got off at the stop. I had zero idea where I was. He picked me up in the car, and we just drove for like hours, and then I just kind of fell in love with the country. It's just like so beautiful. And then that 2 weeks of teaching in the school was just like the best 2 weeks I've ever had in my life. It was just so nice. So I think just always wanting to live outside of the UK, and then just that experience, I think it just kind of sold it for me. So yeah, that was that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I personally would love to move to another country. I think mainly I'm just not organized enough, and it's a little bit trickier coming all the way from Australia to like, you know, a far off distance place.
Yeah, of course.
So what is kind of the do you know like what your goals for 2021 would be with like MOTUS, or even just like with yourself with training and that sort of thing?
It's really hard because obviously nobody really, well, I mean, it might be different for you, but I know like everything's still up in the air with like what's going on with the country at the minute. Like, you know, our thing is going to open soon. Like, can I go out and train normally and stuff? So I'm a bit unsure, but in terms of training, just when I can and get the opportunity, just continue training. Like last year, just training hard, going out. Because yeah, at the end of the day, I just love it. It's just so much fun. It's a bit dead now because obviously the weather and gyms are closed, but yeah, when everything opens and the weather gets a bit nicer, yeah, I'll just be out training. I've definitely got a lot of challenges around Oslo I'd like to give a go, and that's in my head. But in terms of MOTUS, like 100% just keep pushing, because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that obviously Giles does, and I just want to continue helping with that, like shoot as much photos and stuff and just try and work on as many projects as possible with that, and just keep pushing MOTUS. Obviously, in terms of traveling, nobody really knows because we don't know when it's going to be possible to free travel again. So it's like, will I get on a trip with MOTUS this year? I don't really know, but there's so much stuff I can be doing behind the scenes on my laptop, just doing a lot of photography work and stuff like that, because that's definitely where my passion and kind of skill lies with MOTUS. Like obviously we have Johnston, who's like the incredible filmmaker. We've just got so many different like skills in the team, and I feel like I definitely lie with like the photography and shooting like clothing and stuff like that. So, yeah.
You're a very stylish young man. Yeah, I definitely see the parallels there with Farang. Like it's similar for us. We want to do a lot of things, and we've spoken about kind of getting together where we can, but it's just all up in the air. Like for me personally, it's the tentative plan is to travel in April and hopefully do a project in Algeria, and then if that works and that all goes through, I'll probably end up staying overseas for most of the year. Due to the fact that getting back into the country here is just going to be a nightmare, and I don't want to have to do lockdown if I can. Well, so Sydney never actually went into lockdown. We were really fortunate. Like our biggest lockdown was you can go out and exercise, you know, with I think it was just 2 people. So I just went out with 1 person and trained, and that was that like it you know, it felt quiet and isolated, but it still didn't feel like I had to ever spend 2 weeks indoors.
Yeah, of course.
Like I shot a TV show at the end of the year, and some of the people on it came up from Queensland, and then when they went back home after the show, they had to spend 2 weeks inside, and I was like, oh my god, I would not have done that. But like anything, man. Just trying to avoid that specifically. Like, hey, go to this hotel and sit in this room for 2 weeks. Like that.
Exactly.
It doesn't sound fun at all.
And then you can't even do it in your home. Like they're like, no, you'll infect others. So got to do.
Oh, you have to do it in the hotel. How long has the quarantine been going on in Norway?
It literally like the really serious lockdown that's happening now literally happened 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah, right.
They just put out new rules because basically, like I said, the English new strain of virus got caught like just 30 minutes out of Oslo, and that was found like maybe a couple of days ago. So then the Norwegian government were just like, yep, we're closing down everything. So yeah, we're just kind of, everybody's told to stick inside. Like everything's closed now. Like quite a lot of stuff was closed in terms of restaurants, takeaway places were still open, but now it's just like everything's stopped, and we're just told to stay inside and not do anything like that. So yeah, it sucks big time.
Yeah. So what from your like acrobatics, gymnastics training, do you actually have a plan of how you're going to do this? Like I saw the latest, so it was the new hops, but then you have this end segment at the very end, just you doing flips on your bed. And as you said, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know, to be honest. That's the thing, because that was pretty fun actually, because Keelan was like, oh, he needs team training. And then I was like, I mean, I can do something in my room, I guess. But then, I can't really do that now because my bed sounded like it was about to break, and then neighbors were kind of a bit annoyed because there was so much banging. So I can't really do anything outside now as well. So I guess it's just like a waiting period of just seeing when I can start to do things again.
Yeah, of course.
Train and just, I mean, it shouldn't be too long. I think they said around like a week or 2 weeks, I guess. And I mean, I can still go out and like have a walk and stuff like that. So I might be able to do some flips in the snow or something like that and just have a good time. But for now, it's definitely just like a waiting period. So a lot of behind the scenes work with MOTUS and stuff, and just trying to work and help out as much as I can. So yeah, that's that.
Do you, sorry, Jarran, you go.
Do you supplement your training with conditioning?
100%. Yeah, 100. Well, I mean, the gyms have been closed for around like half a year now, so I haven't been able to go to the gym. But I'm big time into climbing. So I've been doing like a lot of upper body stuff, like hangboarding and just pull-ups and stuff like that. So that's, in terms of working out, that's all I've been able to do recently. But back when Corona wasn't a thing, I was like doing the gym 3 times a week. I was on like Tom Taylor's program for I think around a year, and then Callum contacted me and wanted to kind of like guinea pig me out for his kind of whatever he's doing with his strength and conditioning. So he messaged me and gave me like a little program, and I was obviously down to help him out and give it a go. So I was on that. And then literally as I was starting that for around 2 months, and then everything closed, gyms closed and stuff, so I just couldn't work out, and I don't have any kind of weights or home gym, anything like that. I mean, I've got a backpack with like logs that I do like weighted pull-ups with, but that's it.
That's so like so Norwegian of you.
The Tom Taylor conditioning, that what Ed Scott is doing? Is that?
Ed's on. I think he's still on Tom Taylor's program. That's what Ed's been doing for a long time now. Same as Tim. I don't know what they're doing now, but they've been on it.
I believe when we spoke to Ed a few weeks ago, he was still doing the program. He does like 2 or 3 times a week. How often, like when you're normally training, how often would you condition?
I do it like 3 times a week, usually at the gym, because I found with if I was working as well, with work, anything more would just be a bit intense, because obviously I'm always going to choose parkour over lifting because I love parkour. But and doing lifting any more than 3 times a week, it just got a bit too much, and I felt like I wasn't able to train as well anyways, because I might be a bit tired or something like that. So
yeah, that's my biggest concern, is I'm like, I want all my energy for parkour. But maybe I feel like sometimes I need to do some more strength and conditioning work to just get like the consistency of because if I bash my body about too much, then because I'm not doing the stuff to line my hips back up and the exercises to kind of realign things, then it'll just get worse and progress, and then I'll be like, oh shit, now I have to take 3 days off because my back hurts.
No, it definitely does aid like training so much. When I started lifting, I just noticed like all my landings and everything's I didn't feel 10 times more explosive, but everything just felt more stable, and I just felt so stronger. Like I felt like I could commit to like a bigger running pre or something like a bigger standing jump, like maybe if it was a droppy one, I felt like so much more stable when committing to it. So even if I bounced it, like I just felt strong, kind of thing. Yeah.
Are you? I'm trying to remember if you are a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never went full vegan. I've been veggie for around like maybe over 2 years now.
Because I think when we met, you might have just made the transition.
Maybe.
Or you were talking about making the transition. That's why it's like stuck in my head. I'm like, is he? So yeah, how do you find that? Did you find like that it was better with training, worse with training, or like it was the same as, you know what I mean?
Honestly, like it just felt the same. No real change. I mean, I went veggie just for kind of health reasons. Just like, heard it was obviously, beneficial and stuff like that. I don't dive too deep into it, but I've never been like a super huge fan of meat anyways, like just kind of, I don't know why, just from being a kid, it's never really stuck with me. So yeah, the transition didn't even feel like a thing. It just felt completely normal. And then I don't even think about it now. It's just completely normal.
I mean, I can say the same to the vegetables never really sat with me. I've always been drawn to meat. So I get what you mean by it's just like what your preference is. It's not like yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like now as getting older, you're lucky you're like 22, but like as I'm getting 28, I'm like, shit, I need to make sure that I'm getting like a proper diet in as well. Like I can't just churn out stuff on garbage food. Like my body just do like an hour and I'll be like, oh,
not good today. Yeah, 100%.
Have you seen sorry, go on, Jan.
No, I was just going to say that even a year or two ago you were eating meat pies and drinking Red Bull. Like I'm sure the Red Bull hasn't changed, but
yeah, now I have to supplement it with like the right amount of hydration and make sure that I'm like, had enough food throughout the day so that I'm not just overkilling the machine.
Just dying, collapsing at the end of it.
Yeah, I've actually been going through a bit of like, those months where like you go out training and then just a stupid little injury happens and you're like, okay, I'll rest for a few days, and you go out training again and a stupid little injury happens, and it just keeps happening to me. Like every time I went, like yesterday, I was like the first day back in a few days, and so I did a solo session and then a session in the middle of the day, and I went to the gym, went full out, and then I did like just a triple fall on the tramp and like somehow tweaked my lat, like just the crunching sensation. And it was like early in the session, I kind of felt it was like, nah, don't worry about it. I'll just keep training for another 2 hours. And then, got home. It was like,
this isn't good.
I can't lay down properly.
Those are little niggling injuries that you haven't even done anything serious, but it just hinders training so much. Like I know I had like a little toe injury. Like it was just so, I don't even know how I did it, but I just remember like, I think it was just like a repetitive kind of strain. So like the tendon underneath my big toe was just like hurting so much. So whenever I did like any jump or something, it didn't make it not possible to jump, but it was so painful. So it was like, it was such a nightmare. But
yeah. Do you have like, because personally I'm like just obsessed with parkour and don't really do anything else. Like, I mean, I play Super Smash Brothers with the boys and watch TV. And that's about it. And then just do parkour related things. But it seems like you have like a more vibrant social life and that sort of thing. Do you kind of have different hobbies aside from parkour? Or is it just
just climbing? Well, I do quite a lot, to be fair, but in terms of like a decent level, because obviously everybody might go, I don't know, skateboarding or something like that every once in a while, but I definitely do climb a lot. I have been climbing a lot. Like I love it so much. And Norway is like a really place to do it. Like good place to do it.
Is that rock climbing or is that like bouldering?
Like bouldering and like route climbing. So high walls and stuff like that. But that's just so much fun. And I love it so much, and it is kind of beneficial to parkour in a way as well because it gives me a lot of upper body strength. Climb ups and lashes and all that stuff like that.
Something I've been trying to work on is definitely my like lower half is the heavy hitting squad for my body, and I've been trying to do more. It's cool because in I think in February we've got Shane Parkour coming here,
Okay.
And so we're just gonna try and like milk every single technique from him and like just like learn the mindset and be like, okay, use that in our training. Get like advanced a little bit more in the upper body section and the climbing.
Yeah.
But it's hard here because you, like you said, there's good places for it. Is that like, good facilities and stuff like that in Norway, or is it just like good structures in general?
There's good gyms, like really good climbing gyms, like rock climbing centers and stuff. But I mean, like outdoor boulders, because obviously Norway is like a beautiful country, so much nature. Like I could take a bus 15 minutes out to a forest, and there's just like so much rock and boulders and stuff, and like set places to boulder. Like the climbing scene's really big. So yeah, you just get like an app on your phone, and it tells you like where the routes are, the boulders are, and you just go out and get some coffee like on the weekend, wake up, have your sandwiches, and just like have a nice day out climbing. So it's definitely like a good break from doing parkour, but still kind of beneficial as well, getting strong, stuff like that. So
yeah, like I was gonna say, because I want to do my climbing like Shane is, where it's like outdoor and on structures and stuff like that. But in Australia, we seem to have like a really like low structural integrity for a lot of the stuff that we make. And it's all like really like modernly made. It'll be made over the last like 5 years, and somehow it'll just be like a thin aluminum thing with like a pinky size, another aluminum attachment on a rail. I'm like, if a person fell into it, they would actually like push it over, but somehow they're getting away with it. So yeah, I mean, we do have some good climbing facilities here, but I think everything has been shut down or like really dimmed down to the amount of people they can have in at a time. So I haven't been climbing in years. I just, for me, I struggle. Like I'm now getting back to the gym more, but I struggle like with the concept of having to pay for training. I'm like, I don't really want to have to pay money to just do parkour, because I can never have had to. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Usually I'm just going to use this section here, because usually I would ask the people in the audience to ask questions, but because we've moved the podcast, the live stream, over to Patreon, there's only like 3 or 4 viewers maybe, and I don't even know if they can interact.
3 or 4 potential viewers.
No, there's 8 potential viewers, Jarran. Which brings me to my next point. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel more, and you want to kind of give me the personal freedom to progress in like professional stuff and opportunity to kind of travel and make more videos independently, you can head over to my Patreon. The link will be in the description below, and that means you can get exclusive content every week, live access to the podcast, and like one-on-one video chats and all sorts of different things. Just in touch with me. And that's my recent endeavor of trying to kind of create some independence from any sort of bigger brands, just so I can make the content that I want to make my way, in that sense, just like my artistic expression. But yeah, do you think like down the line at all that you're going to try doing more influencer work and stuff like that?
Well, it is something that's like kind of on my mind. I've just never, I mean, like I obviously, like I post to Instagram as much as I possibly can. I haven't posted in a while, just mainly because obviously
you're lazy. You're bad man.
I just haven't been able to train. And obviously the only stuff I'm going to post on my Instagram is parkour stuff. I've never really thought about kind of doing deals with brands and stuff like that. It's not something that I'm against. I've never actually had an opportunity like that yet. And yeah, I've never really thought about this, because I've always been so kind of tunnel visioned on MOTUS. Because again, I want to
doing the jumps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just MOTUS, doing as much work as I can for MOTUS, and then doing jumps. So that's all I've really thought about. And I think my Instagram is definitely just a platform for kind of parkour. And again, it's been tough times this year, and training's very sporadic, unfortunately. So it's just a bit, I mean, it's mainly just like whether it's kind of hard to get, because I'm very much, I don't know if this is a good thing or bad thing, but if I've got a clip, I won't just upload it because I've got a clip. I want to have something that I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. Like if I have a clip and I'm not a fan of that, I won't upload it. But I got to have content that I'm like, oh, I'm a big fan of that. I like that.
Proud of what you do to a certain level. Yeah, no, I understand that for sure. Oh, damn it. I forgot what I was going to say, but it was to do with that. Oh, yeah. Because I reckon personally that you a good sellable little package where you could like do fashion, like what Luke Stones has been doing with his socials. That to me is like a really good move, I reckon, for a lot of free runners who want to show off, like, because you're not a bad looking bloke, you got your little style going, you got your piercings and so on. So I've got a necklace, so basically I'm in. Basically, yeah. But yeah, I think that like it's something that I would encourage, I reckon, for you is to kind of like think about how you would market yourself and what's true to you. You know what I mean? Don't obviously like start, unless you want to start like posting nudes and you in bikini and stuff like that. Like Jordan Tyler Lea, the special extreme experience. But yeah, it's something like I've definitely thought about it, and during the Christmas giveaway, I was trying to kind of take inspiration from that side of things with the content creation, because I think like I definitely resonate with you. I just want to jump and then like contribute to the things that help me jump every day. But I think the value in there, and this is more for any viewers who also are thinking about this sort of thing, is like making it tangible for your everyday audience. People who just enjoy the general consumption of media aren't necessarily going to understand or get the extremities of what you're doing or the technicalities of what you're doing. Absolutely. So occasionally having that promotional piece there, or like if you've got a friend who's a cinematographer, just spending the day with them and doing some sort of creative concept where you still get to do jumps and move, but you get to kind of stylize the content in a way that will sell to the wider audience. And I reckon you should do a few pieces, you pretty fella.
Thank you. No, it is a very, very good point, to be fair, and it's something that has always been in the back of my head, because again, like any opportunity for me to have like parkour as kind of my living in a way, like regardless of how that is or what I'm doing, it is something I've thought about. It's mainly just I've never it's a bit foreign in terms of I don't really know how to like start or like what to do and stuff like that. I guess it's just a full,
it's a gray area.
Figuring it out basically.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been one to like, I don't encourage people to like play the influencer game or like do the whole like link ups, connects, I'm not into like collabing and making a YouTube video where like, oh my God, Stacy saw this. Oh my God. Like, it's just not, it doesn't seem genuine to parkour, like myself is included in that, but also like, that's not our sport. Like if a collaboration is a jam, you get together with other athletes, create content, blah, 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 or you like do a project together. But the idea of like, messaging someone who has a lot of followers and like being like, hey, do you want to hang out? And then like going out for a day with them and being like, oh, I'll do a flip and you can react to it and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you've seen that Kira Kolesnikov, his channel on Instagram, but it's like all of those other people are influencers and it's all like fake reactions, and it just cheapens. Like, I'm already not a huge fan of reaction videos, but I don't mind it, like a genuine one. But if it's like if it's completely fake,
no, I'm with you on that one 100%.
I mean, the other one I hate is that everyone thinks they're like a stand-up comedian and they all do like a selfie shot video. They're like, hey Jim, such and such as that, what'd you say, mate? Oh, definitely. And I'm like, there's no artistry. Like, where's the, like, it's not funny to me because it's so blatant. Like, even if you hit a punchline.
Yeah, it's just mindless content. Absolutely. But yeah, you do need something. Yeah, a punchline, like you said. Yeah.
And but a punchline that isn't just like said like a joke. Like you might as well have just filmed yourself telling a joke. Oh, that's what we should implement. Hey, Jarran, do you know any good jokes?
No, I'm fucking terrible at telling jokes. Terrible at telling stories. I'm just like,
I don't know if I have any jokes I can say on like an internet podcast. It's okay. No, I've got one. So we're gonna go around and we're all gonna tell a joke each to finish. I reckon that'll be the way.
This is a terrible idea.
Funny. So passengers were all really excited and they board their flight and they notice that the cabin door is open and they're like, oh my God, we can see in the cockpit. That's so cool. And that the pilots haven't arrived. And they're like, oh, this is strange. Usually the pilots are in the plane kind of setting it up. All the machinery is going and everything, but they're just no pilots. And so then the pilots come in, and one of them's got a dog, and one of them's got a blind cane. And he's tapping it back and forth. They're both wearing big dark sunglasses, and everyone's like, oh, this is hilarious. I can't believe that these guys are pretending to be blind. They get into the driver's seat, and they start driving the plane. And at Sydney Kingsford Smith Airport, once you drive off the end, you just end up, in a bunch of rocks and then the ocean if you don't take off. And so they're hurtling towards, and everyone's, giggling and laughing. And they're getting closer and closer, and the panic starts to set in, and everyone starts to scream. And just before they hit the rocks, they just soar into the air. And the pilot turns to the other and goes, you know what, Jim? One day they're all going to scream too late, and we're all going to die.
Well, that was actually a little bit funny.
Yeah, smart, minor giggle.
Well, Jesus. I've never been like, I can't tell a joke. I don't actually know any jokes. I don't even know.
Not even a knock joke.
I don't.
So how I got into jokes in general was I was on the way from Queensland, where I used to live, to New South Wales to do like an ice skating competition. I was 9 years old, and my parents thought they're like, you can get anything from the gift shop. And I bought a joke book that they thought was just a joke book. Little did they know it was like a crude adult joke book with a lot of the jokes that I would read out in the car and not even understand. And so I just learned all of these jokes, like, to be able to spit back at people, and they're just stored in my memory. I've got a good one loaded for next week. Already.
Good.
But yeah, one knock joke. What's or why did the chicken cross the road? They're all good ones. You can do it. I believe in you. You put on the spot.
I'm trying to think back to school. I'm trying to think of back to like when I opened Christmas crackers on Christmas, and they have like the really terrible like.
Yeah, that's what you need right now.
I can't even think. Hang on.
All right, Jarran, you're up. Jarran.
All right. I have never told a joke, I think, ever. So here's one that I think I know. A guy finds himself in a maximum security prison, and everyone there has been there for so long, and they just keep saying things like, 24, 32, and just cracking up laughing. And so the guy goes to one of the old timers and he goes, why do you keep saying numbers? He's like, oh, we've been here for so long that we already know all the jokes. And they just have numbers now. And so it's like, all right, sweet. Well, I'm in. I'm gonna tell a joke. He goes, 14. Dead silence. And he's like, what's wrong? Like, isn't that a good joke? He's like, no, it's not about the joke. It's the way you said it. Ba-dum.
Makes no sense, but I love it. So random. I think.
I'm not gonna lie. I've just been trying to Google. Been trying to Google jokes. I can't think of anything.
All right, what's your best Google joke? Hit us to finish the show with the best Google joke.
Right. So they're all terrible.
Oh, that's even better.
Right. Oh, right. You ready for this one? Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who?
Jarran.
What did you say?
Boo.
Boo who?
Why are you crying?
Oh shit! Oh my god!
I knew it when he said it. As soon as he said it,
You actually knew what I was gonna say. I just actually
that's how well versed in the joke world I am. All right, guys. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the show. And
thank you. That was great.
It's been really good to catch up and tell jokes.
Yeah, and hopefully we could take up some of your lockdown time.
Yeah. No, it's been great. It's been nice to converse with some people other than my roommate. So.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to plug before you go? Obviously, the MOTUS Projects.
Anything coming up?
obviously the MOTUS Projects, and other than that, not really. Just the most persistent collection, our recent winter collection.
Check it out.
That's it. Yeah,
Boom, boom. We'll put a link in the description for that as well, so people can click through, check that out. All right, guys. Thank you all
Nice.
for listening, and have a good
Thank you.
night or day or wherever you are.